And then the army was just waiting to pounce on them. They were waiting for the command, going to wipe them out. The gates were locked and all this stuff. But this is my main point. I want you to understand when the prophets start talking, we need to start paying attention. And we need to hear and understand it according to what our needs are at that particular time. So you look in chapter 7 and verse 1. The prophet came along, Elisha, and he said, about this time tomorrow, all of this is going to change. Now, we don't need to be fussing and have division about the prophets. We need to hear what they're saying and how it's going to affect us. But this prophet said, boom, all of this bad stuff we've been having is going to change. Now, I've got a point, and it's about sound, so I want you to follow me. Then verse 2, the captain on whose hand the king leaned, it was very important. That's a very important statement. Answered the man of God and said, if God could make windows in heaven, how's this going to happen? Think about what I'm saying. If God could make windows in heaven. You know what Malachi says? Malachi 4 says, I will open up, or Malachi 3 says, I will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you don't have enough room to receive it. Yes, he can make windows in heaven. Yes, he can. The heavens opened, and when Jesus and John was in the river and he was being water baptized, the window in heaven opened up, and God said, this is my beloved son in whom, oh yes, 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 yes. But this guy did not believe what the prophet said. He said, God can't even make windows in heaven. In other words, now follow me, stay with me. God in Amos 3 says that he doesn't do anything without speaking to his prophets. Y'all ready for this? Okay. So that's what he says. I know it's Old Testament, but it's still good today. So God speaks to his prophets and tells us what's going to happen. This guy didn't believe the prophet, but in reality, he didn't believe God. So watch it when we go like, well, you know, this prophet said this and that prophet said that, blah, blah, blah. Watch it, because it looks like that this captain is saying, well, this prophet said this and I don't believe that. But not in reality. What he was saying, if God could make windows in heaven, this cannot be. So we have to really guard ourselves and pay attention. So if God is telling us something prophetically, now I know we have to judge it. I understand all that. I understand that part, and I'm not talking on that part today. But I'm talking to you about what has God said to you prophetically, and receive that, because if we're not receiving it, then we're maybe not receiving God. And we're going to have to navigate through these next days, weeks, and months and get into 2025. It might be a little rough for a long time. We don't know how long it's going to be before things start turning. So we have to watch it. But I'm not going to read the rest of it. But what happened was, then there was these 4 lepers. Think about what I'm saying. 4 guys that were in the process of dying every minute of their life because they had leprosy. And they saw the army down there and they said, why are we sitting here? This is verse 8. They said, if we go to the edge of the camp and we get in there and they kill us, they're going to die. You know, we're going to die anyway. Well, we're going to die anyway, no matter what. So they went down there and they started when they got there, the army wasn't there. And they were like, oh, we're going to get something to eat. We're going to get something to drink. They started getting all this food and they started hiding everything. Then they said, this is not right. We got to go back and tell them. Well, when they went back and they told, hey, what the prophet said actually happened, because the whole army heard a sound. Now, we're only talking about 4 lepers that are going to die no matter what, because they have leprosy. Those guys. But there was a sound. It's really interesting, because if you read that whole chapter, you'll see it was the sound of horses and chariots. The whole army thought, oh my God, everybody and their brother's going to come and they're going to wipe us out. They were so scared they didn't even ride their horses out of there. They ran from a sound. Now listen to me, from a sound. My point is about the sound. The sound of the prophet saying there wasn't any drama, there wasn't any music, there was nothing. Elisha said, oh yeah, y'all, by this time tomorrow, this whole thing's going to be over. There wasn't any da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There was none of that. He just simply made a statement. And everything changed because the sound of his prophecy changed what Satan was doing and what Satan was going to do and Satan's plans. Did you get that? Wave at me. Did you get it? Did you hear what I said? It was the sound of that prophetic word changed everything in less than 24 hours and made somehow that sound of by this time tomorrow, not any big fanfare, nothing, by this time tomorrow it's going to change, by this time tomorrow. And Isaiah says, I think it's Isaiah 61, it says, can a nation be born in a day? Yes, Israel was. That was a sound, a prophetic sound. And yet that sound of the prophet's prophecy changed everything and made the enemy think there was all these horses and chariots coming. And there was a couple other things I thought of when I was reading this. I thought, Elisha was there and all the enemy was going to come wipe them out. And the servant said, yipes, look at them. They're like the sand. Oh my, they're everywhere. And Elisha said, open his eyes. So he looked up and he goes, look at the horses and chariots of fire. They're all over the mountain. That turned the whole battle. Can you see that? Being able to see and hear what the prophet is saying. And I'm not saying every prophet is right every single time they say something. I'm not saying that. I'm teaching you how to learn to hear prophetically and how to know that the sound that we're looking for is not the drums beating. The sound we're looking for is not just a bunch of music. The sound is not lights flying all over the place. We're looking for the word of the Lord coming from the prophetic generation, from the prophet. Thank you for watching this clip today, and just click below and you can see the full broadcast. You're going to really enjoy it, and make sure that you like and share and subscribe and all those things, because it really